beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you again for joining today. First of all, I want to say thank you to every single person that has supported this channel for the comments, for the likes, for the subscribers. Thank you so much. And if you are watching this video and haven't subscribed yet, please do that now and support this channel. Thank you. So today's video is very important. It is for those that might be wondering how to write a statement of purpose or an SOP. An SOP is very important if you're someone that's applying for a study permit. Now, this video is the one that you want to watch from the beginning to the end to really understand how to write a winning SOP. Now, I will explain to you in detail, first of all, how to write an SOP. I'll give you all of the tips that you need to know and the mistakes to avoid. And then I would read two SOPs. The first SOP would be mine, the one that I used to apply for my study permit when I was coming, which got me an approval in a few months. And I'll read to you another SOP example that you can follow in case you're someone that might have a long gap in your education. So before we jump into how to write an SOP, let us understand why an SOP is very important. Now, when you're applying for a study permit, part of the document that you need to attach to your application is your statement of purpose or SOP. Now, your SOP is the document that you can use to explain to the visa officer why you want to study in Canada. There are other documents that you need to attach as well, like your admission letter, your proof of funds, your transcripts, your medical exam, your police clearance, and other documents, right? However, those documents don't really tell your story. It is your SOP that you use to connect those documents together to tell your story. All right. So your SOP is very important. It is actually one of the most important documents that you submit with your application for your study permit. All right. So you need to make it very, very compelling and strong to the visa officer. So I have my laptop here. So I'm looking down a lot to read what I have on my notes on my laptop. So I took down many notes so that I won't miss out anything. Now, what will your SOP contain? Your SOP should contain why you want to study this program and why in Canada. Also, you should explain what are your career goals and how does this program help. Also, you want to explain what guarantees that you will return to your home country after your studies. Now, do you know that many students get rejected because they fail to address one of these key areas? Now, the first common mistake that people make in their SOP is that they are too generic. It just sounds like you copy and pasted the templates from somewhere. Now, the visa officer can tell. Remember, they've read many SOPs, though. So the template that you probably have copied, somebody else might have used it. So they can tell that you copy and pasted this and they will probably reject that person. So avoid being generic. So make your SOP unique and personal to you. Always try to tell a story. They will know that you are genuinely here to study and you really, really want to study that program. All right. Now let's go step by step on how to create a compelling SOP. Now, your SOP should have 5 key sections. The first section is your introduction. So this part will have your personal story plus your motivation. The second one is your educational background. Now, this is where you will link your past studies to your future goals. The third section is why Canada and why this university. So you would give specific reasons for choosing Canada and for choosing the university in Canada. The fourth section is your future plans and home country ties. Now, this is where you want to prove to the visa officer that once you're done with your program, you return back to your country. And then the fifth section is where you would show financial readiness. So basically showing that you can afford your education in Canada. So these 5 sections are very important. So you don't want to miss any of them. If you miss any of them or you don't explain any of them very well, that would likely lead to a rejection. All right. Now let's start with the first section, the introduction. Now, this section is where you want to grab the reader's attention immediately. This section is very important. If you start very poorly, they will probably skip it or not even read it at all. All right, so this place is where you want to grab their attention. So use a short, relatable personal story about why you chose your field. Now, example, when I was 10, I watched my father struggle to keep his small business afloat. Seeing him work late nights and battle financial issues made me realize the importance of financial literacy. That moment sparked my interest in studying business administration so I could help small businesses thrive. Now, this is how you can start your first paragraph. I tell you, anyone that reads this, you want to continue because they're like, oh, wow, okay, this is interesting. Because they want to understand what motivated you to want to study in Canada. So instead of just saying, I want to study business, Tell a story that connects to your passion because visa officers read thousands of SOP. So make sure yours stand out. Now, step two is to link your story to your educational background. So basically showing progression from your past studies to your career goals. Now, for example, to build on my passion for finance, I pursued a bachelor's degree in business administration at, then you write the university name, for example, University of Manitoba. During my studies, I focused on courses like financial management and entrepreneurship, which deepened my understanding of how businesses operate. So basically, your SOP should show a clear academic journey. Don't just list out your degree and say, I studied bachelor degree in this and that. No. Explain how it prepared you for your future. All right. Now, step three is why Canada and why this university. So in this area, don't be generic. Don't just say Canada has good universities. No, be specific. So you want to mention professors, courses, facilities that attracted you to Canada and to the university. For example, I chose to study at University of Manitoba because of its strong focus on entrepreneurship. The course, Strategic Business Growth, aligns perfectly with my goals of supporting small businesses in my home country. Additionally, Canada's multicultural environment will give me international exposure and networking opportunities. Now you can see that it shows that you've done your research, you've checked for the university, the courses they take in the department that you're applying to, then you understand why Canada, because there are other countries as well, right? So, but why Canada? So you need to be able to show that you've done your research and that you are choosing Canada specifically for some reasons. And in this area as well, you would mention the name of professors, especially if you're doing a graduate program. If you apply to do like a master's or a PhD, you must have spoken to his supervisor beforehand, right? So this is the area where you want to say, okay, maybe their research interests is what you want to study. It aligns with yours. So the step four is your future plans and ties to your home country. Now, this is where you want to prove that you return to your home country. This part is very, very important. Most times, people get rejected because of this section, to be honest, because they're not able to show genuine home ties to their home country. So, in this part, you need to be very, very convincing. You need to convince them that, see, oh, after I'm done my program, I'll go back to my country to go and do this and go and do that. All right. So, in this area, you can mention family, job offers, business plans, or investments. For example, after completing my master's, I plan to return to my home country, for example, Nigeria, and join, then write a company's name, maybe Amazon, for example, as a financial analyst. My long term goal is to launch my own financial consulting firm, helping local businesses grow and succeed. So you can see a correlation or a link, right, from the first paragraph up until now. Remember, the motivation was seeing their father struggling and them having the passion to want to help small businesses thrive. So now, saying that the long term goal is to launch my own financial consulting firm, helping local businesses grow and succeed, it makes sense because it tallies with what I had in mind in the beginning. All right. So in this section, mention everything that you think is important as home ties. If you have family back at home, mention that. If you have landed properties, mention that. Everything that I think is important, that is like a tie to your home country, mention that here. And then make it clear that you're not planning to overstay in Canada. Now, the step five is your financial readiness. This is where you want to prove to the visa officer that you can afford your education in Canada. So basically, in this section, you can explain your proof of funds because part of what you will submit with your application is your proof of funds. So this section is where you want to explain whatever documents you submitted as a proof, all your bank statements, scholarship, if your uncle is sponsoring you, your auntie is sponsoring you, your parents are the ones sponsoring you, or you're sponsoring yourself, or your husband or your wife is sponsoring you, whoever it might be, all right? This is where you want to convince the visa officer that you can afford your education. All right, very, very important. Again, people get rejected because of this section because they don't explain it very well. They may actually have enough money in their account, oh, but because they don't actually explain it very well how they will use that money, then they get rejected. So, very important. So, for example, my studies will be fully funded by my parents who have an annual income of 50,000 Canadian dollars. I have also secured a partial scholarship of 10,000 Canadian dollars from University of Manitoba, for example, ensuring that I can comfortably cover tuition, and living expenses. So, in this section, be very clear and specific about who is funding your education because this avoids doubt about your financial stability. Now, quickly, what are some common mistakes to avoid? Number one, avoid being too generic. Don't say, I want to study in Canada because it has good education. Instead, mention specific universities, programs, and career goals. Another mistake to avoid is having no clear plan. Don't say, I just want to explore new opportunities. Instead, show a clear career path after your studies. The next mistake to avoid is weak home ties. Don't write, I might stay in Canada after my studies. No. Instead, emphasize why you will return home. Now, like I said, many students get rejected because of these mistakes. So please avoid them. So now I'm going to read out my own SOP. The SOP that I used for my visa application that got me my visa or my study permit in less than 2, 3 months, I think. It was very quick and I applied just one time and I got it. Now, when I was writing my SOP, I did a lot of research, all right, and I came up with my own SOP myself. And also, I've helped a number of people to review their SOP using this my template, all right? And from the ones that I got a feedback from, they got their study permits. So for sure, if you follow this template that I will give you, now do not copy my study permits word for word. Again, like I said, if it sounds very generic like a template, they would know. So I'm reading it out so that you can use it as a template to write yours. All right. Now, the first thing you would need is, of course, your home address. So that will be at the right hand corner at the top of the document. And then under that, at the left hand side, would be the address of the visa office. When I was applying for mine, I did a paper application. So I had to go there in person to submit my application. So mine had an address, and I addressed it to the visa office where I submitted my application. So for you, if you know the address of the place you're submitting your application to, that will be what you put there. But for the most part, I think currently they mostly accept only online application. So your address might not be physical place because you don't know where it's going to go to, right? So you can just put the visa officer, High Commission of Canada, and then you can put Nigeria. And then below that, you will put Dear Visa Officer, comma. And then below that, in the middle of the document, you will put your heading. So in this part, you can put anything. I wrote statement of purpose for application of a study permit. Or you can write letter of explanation for study permit application. Anything you want to put there. So make sure it is bolded and capitalized and it is centered. All right. And then under that, you start your first paragraph. So, guys, I didn't realize that part of my clip didn't have an audio. So, bear with me, but I'm going to have to do some sections of this as a voiceover. So, I started my first paragraph like this. I discovered at an early age that the incidence of obesity, diabetes, and cancer was very high due to the standard of living, poor lifestyle choices, and general lack of information about preventive measures against these diseases. I later realized that there was no cure for these diseases, only management options. Since then, I have become passionate about contributing to developing effective and safer therapies. It influenced the decisions I made during my undergraduate studies. I studied biochemistry and also volunteered as an intern at a clinic in Nigeria, and I put the name of the clinic there, where I worked closely with obese, diabetic, and cancer patients. Now, the second paragraph. I completed my undergraduate studies in biochemistry from Covenant University, Nigeria in 2015 as the best student in the department with a CGPA of 4.7 out of 5.0. During my university days, I continued to seek answers, and this thirst for knowledge informed my undergraduate project on the use of, and then I wrote the name of the project out. This research produced interesting results, and I was able to publish a paper in the journal of, and then I put the journal name and the name of the paper as well. After graduation, I got recommended by the head of department, Osun State University, to work at the university's laboratory. It was a dream move that I savored. I learned not only how to conduct and design experiments, but also how to carry out scientific research, laying a solid foundation for my future. I built on my experience at OSU, which is Osun State University, by joining a research team at the College of Medicine, University of Lagos, Nigeria. I was privileged to be a part of a research project that focused on then I wrote out the project and what we found. And take note, this project was also linked to obesity and cancer. All right, still going back to my first paragraph. The journey has shaped who I am today. Besides the wet lab experience, my interpersonal and organization skills improved significantly as I worked with a team. Now, my third paragraph. I began my master's program in biochemistry in 2017 in Covenant University, Nigeria, and I am currently concluding my MSc project on, then I wrote out the project's name. The aim of this project is to report the incidence of, then I wrote out the aim of the project. And mind you, this work also had to do with cancer, still relating to my initial motivation, all right? Then I continued. As a passionate researcher, I have had the opportunity to employ major biochemical techniques such as genomic extraction of DNA from whole blood samples, polymerase chain reaction, agarose gel electrophoresis, and then I listed out some techniques that I've used. Not everything, so it's not confusing, but I listed out some of them just to show that I know what I'm doing. All right. Now, for the next paragraph, I wrote, I plan starting my PhD in Applied Health Sciences in the University of Manitoba, Winnipeg, Canada, in September 2019. The duration of the program is 4 years. In my PhD project, I would like to focus on exploring the potential, blah, 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 on obesity, diabetes, and cancer with the hope of developing safer and effective therapies. Now, if you noticed, I kept on mentioning obesity, diabetes, and cancer. From the first paragraph up until this point, I kept linking the reason why I'm doing this program. All right. I discovered this research field at the start of my master's program, and I became greatly interested in the research area. I searched and discovered that most, if not all, Nigerian universities have little or no experience in this field. This fact made me decide to research schools outside Nigeria. I searched online and sent emails to supervisors who are involved in this research area. This was how I got in contact with my supervisor, University of Manitoba, Winnipeg, Canada. Our research focus coincide with my research interests and experiences. We have been communicating via email since the beginning of the year about research, career path, and admission process. She agreed to be my supervisor, so I went ahead to apply to the school. I got the offer of admission, see attachment in brackets, and the provisional condition will be cleared as soon as I conclude my master's degree in July of 2019. Now, when I was applying for this, I was still doing my master's program at that time. So when they gave me admission in the school, they had a condition on the letter that I had to finish my master's program first, of course, before I can start. So I had to explain that in the SOP. All right. So if you have any condition on your offer letter, please explain it. Then I continued. My first class undergraduate and MSc degree in biochemistry at Covenant University, Nigeria, has equipped me with the prerequisite courses that would enhance my excellence in the Applied Health Sciences PhD program in the University of Manitoba. Now, the next paragraph, I wrote, after thorough research, I believe that the University of Manitoba, Winnipeg, Canada, will set me on the right path to achieve my research objective. The University of Manitoba provides a stimulating and dynamic environment with excellent research and recreational facilities, which will make studying there an unforgettable experience. The Department of Applied Health Sciences offers an interesting research program and coursework that fits my interests and goals. My ultimate aim as I apply for a study permit to study in Canada is to utilize the knowledge, skills, and training which I would receive to impact the academic sector through teaching and research on my return to Nigeria after completing my graduate studies. My long term plan is to be a part of a leading research organization in Nigeria, as I believe I can make a significant impact and contribute on a large scale to the ongoing research on metabolic diseases. Now, for the next paragraph, I wrote, as a result of my outstanding academic performance in my BSc and MSc studies, I was awarded the University of Manitoba Graduate Fellowship UMGF Award, which is valued at 18,000 Canadian dollars per year. Then in brackets, see attachment. This award will cover my tuition, which is approximately 12,400 Canadian dollars, as well as housing and feeding allowance. Also, due to my high CGPA, I am eligible for other scholarships, including the International Graduate Student Entrance Scholarship, which is valued at 5,400 Canadian dollars. See attachment in brackets. In addition, my parents will be supporting me with additional funding for any other expenses that may arise throughout my proposed study period. Then I wrote in brackets, see attached bank statement. I strongly believe that the sum of all this would be enough for my studies and stay in Canada. Now, for the next paragraph, I wrote, as regards family ties, I don't have family in Canada. Therefore, ties with my family in Nigeria are essential to me. I was born and raised in a large family of my parents and four siblings, of which I am the first daughter. Being the first daughter with three younger siblings, I had a lot of responsibility to my family, and this is the major reason why I have not yet traveled out of Nigeria for studies till date. However, my family strongly supports my plan to study in Canada and return to contribute to the ongoing research in Nigeria. My parents are self employed. My father runs a while my mother runs a. So I wrote my parents' businesses there, all right? And then I wrote the attachment in brackets. So basically, I attached proof of their business. Then I wrote, I work in my father's store every weekend and during the holidays. And as the first daughter and only scientist in the family, it is extremely important for me to take responsibility of the family business. I currently do not have any landed property in Nigeria. However, my parents have landed properties, see attachments, that they wish to leave to me, hence my return to Nigeria. Upon the completion of my PhD program at the University of Manitoba, Winnipeg, Canada, I will return to my family in Nigeria as I have moral obligation and responsibility towards them. Now, the next paragraph, I wrote, I have attached documents to support my application for a study visa to Canada. I have also attached sworn affidavits from a high court and customary court, see attachment in brackets, to attest to the fact that all the documents attached to this application belongs to me. Then the last paragraph I wrote, thank you for reviewing the application and going through all the documents. I look forward to your favorable response. Then at the end, your signature, yours faithfully, and then your full name. So at the end, you will see where I said I attached affidavits. Why I did that was because some of my documents didn't have my middle name, while some had. And then for some, my middle name was my first name, and my first name was my middle name. So the best thing for me was to get an affidavit from the High Court, basically to show that all the documents, no matter the arrangement of my name, they were all from me. So you might do that as well if you have the same issue. Or even if you don't have that issue, it might be good to just go and get an affidavit. It's very simple to get one, just to show that your documents are valid. All right. Now, like I promised, before I go, I want to read one more SOP example. So I realized that some people might have a long gap in their education. That means that they've not been in school for a long time, maybe 10, 15 years, for example, and they're willing to go back to school either for their master's or their PhD. So the template I read out might be different for you because for me, like I said, I was currently doing my master's program at that time. So it was easier for me to kind of tie everything together. But for those that might have a long gap, I will read out a different format that you can use or that you can follow. Now, of course, the same way you have your address at the top, and then under that, at the left hand corner, you have the address of the visa office. All right. And then you start with Dear Visa Officer. And then the same way, the heading will be probably Statement of Purpose for a Canadian Study Permit application. So bolded and then centered. All right. Then you will start. My name is, then write your full name, and I am writing to express my sincere intent to pursue a program, for example, postgraduate diploma in business administration at the university name, all right, in Canada. I understand the weight this document carries in your decision making process, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my story, aspirations, and motivations for returning to school after a significant educational gap. Then the next paragraph, you can start. I completed my undergraduate degree in the Right Your program from this university, all right, in this year. And upon graduation, I entered the workforce to support myself and my family. While I had aspirations of continuing my education, life circumstances required me to prioritize work and financial stability over further academic pursuits. Over the years, I built a career in then write your industry or your job type there, all right? Taking on progressively responsible roles such as list out your job titles there, which helped me develop practical experience in areas like then you list out the skills that you've gained. For the next paragraph, you want to address the gap, basically explaining why you didn't study earlier. You can say the 10 to 15-year gap in my formal education was not due to lack of ambition or interest in learning, but rather a conscious and responsible decision driven by family responsibilities and the need for financial stability. During this time, I also engaged in several professional development opportunities, such as workshops, online certifications, and on the job training. These experiences reinforced my belief in lifelong learning and helped me realize that to advance in my career or pivot to a more specialized path, I would need to return to school. Now remember, this is a template. Don't write it word for word because again, they can know when you copy and pasted something. All right. So make it specific and unique to your situation. For the next paragraph, you want to explain why now and why this program. So for example, you can say, now that my family responsibilities have stabilized and I am in a better financial position, I am ready and motivated to return to formal education. I chose this program, then write the program name at this university, write it there, because it offers a modern, hands on curriculum that aligns perfectly with the direction I want to take in my career. Then you briefly state your goal. For example, transitioning into digital marketing, enhancing my business leadership skills, or breaking into the field of data analytics. This program is not just a course of study, it is a bridge between where I am now and the professional future I envision. Now, you want to explain why Canada. So, you can put this section with the previous paragraph, or you can put this in a new paragraph. I chose Canada for several compelling reasons. Canada is known for its high quality education system, multicultural society, and welcoming stance towards international students. The practical orientation of Canadian education, combined with exposure to diverse perspectives, will allow me to gain not just theoretical knowledge, but also real world insights. The opportunity to learn in such an environment is unmatched, and I am confident it will prepare me to return home with a globally relevant skill set. Now, the next paragraph, you explain financial preparedness and sponsorship. I understand the financial responsibilities involved in studying and living in Canada, and I have taken adequate steps to ensure I can support myself throughout the duration of my program. My studies will be funded through a combination of personal savings and family support. I have already paid the tuition deposit and secured a guaranteed investment certificate to cover my living expenses as required under the student direct stream process. Additionally, my, for example, spouse, parent, or sibling who is financially stable and currently employed as a, then you put the job title with, then put the company, is supporting me and has provided a notarized affidavit of support and financial documents demonstrating the ability to cover any additional costs. This financial plan ensures that I will focus entirely on my studies without needing to rely on unauthorized employment or government assistance. For the next paragraph, you want to explain ties to home country and your plans after study. While studying in Canada is a dream, I want to make it clear that it is part of a bigger plan that ultimately centers on my home country. Then write your home country there. I have deep roots here. My family, professional network, and long term goals are all based in my country. After completing my studies, I intend to return and apply the skills I acquire to then write what you want to do. For example, start my own business, grow in my company, launch a training institute, or improve digital practices in SMEs. So basically, customize your goals here. I also hope to mentor other professionals who, like me, took non traditional career paths and need inspiration and guidance to succeed. Now, for the last paragraph, which is the conclusion. In conclusion, I recognize that I am not a conventional student, but I believe that my maturity, real world experience, and passion for growth make me uniquely qualified to benefit from and contribute to the academic community at the Invite the Canadian University there. This educational opportunity means more to me than a credential. It represents a new beginning, a chance to elevate my career, and a commitment to return home and create positive impact. Thank you for considering my application. Yours sincerely, and then your full name. Now, why does this SOP work? Number one, it is authentic, all right, because it acknowledges the educational gap honestly and confidently. Number two, it is logical because it connects past, present, and future goals in a clear arc. Number three, it is strategic because it emphasizes returning home post study, which addresses visa officers' concerns about immigration intent. All right. And lastly, it is relatable because it shows emotional maturity, resilience, and genuine academic motivation. All right, guys. So to wrap up, the key takeaways are one, your SOP must be personal, structured, and clear. Number two, show logical progression from your past to your future. Number three, prove your intent to return home after your studies. Number four, avoid common mistakes that lead to visa rejections. Finally, a well written SOP is your key to securing a Canadian study visa. Now, if this video has helped you, and I'm sure it has, what you can do for me is to like it, share it, drop a comment, let me know how it has helped you, and please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.